I've brought the strength expert with me today. If I share with you that somebody's got a master's degree in exercise science, sounds pretty important, doesn't it? If I tell you that he's at this stage 19 times world champion, but he's got a competition in a little bit longer than you, I think 6 weeks' time, he's going to be competing for his next world championship in Taekwondo. And if I told you that he's really old, he's over 50 and he's still a world champion, and this is the really cool part of this story. Often when we go to Taekwondo championships, he'll sit down getting ready for competition, and one of the dads will say to him, who's your child, who's your athlete that's competing? And Kman will say, no, I'm fighting your son. Which is really cool when you're over 50. And I'm sharing that with you because there's no reason to get old. If you want to be healthy, fit and strong for the rest of your life, you just have to fuel well. Super Coach Kman!
Good to see you writing lots of notes. Good lesson to start with is what you forget won't help. So if you come across a good piece of information that will be useful in helping you become better at your sport, or more importantly, you better as a person, then make sure you write it down. Because if you don't, you'll probably forget it tomorrow. We just came from Auckland, and normally you always put in the best route in the Google Maps, and then you just follow the map on the phone, and if you follow that, voila, you arrive. And there's not a lot of thinking, you just sort of trust the process. Point being, in training for an athlete or a sports person, if you get a map to get you from where you want to be to achieving what you want to achieve, and if you get the plan right, you just follow the process. And you have faith in the process and trust in the process. And by the end, you will increase your chances of success. But all of those, to get to there, are all these little diversions. You've got to turn here, you've got to do that, you've got to go there, you have to eat this, you have to lift that. But if you do them all, collectively, they'll put you in the best chance of winning. But more importantly, the best chance of being your best. When I work with athletes, and I still have a small group of combat fighters I train now, and I've been training them from when they never threw a punch, never thrown a kick. And after a bit of training, I get to see what I've got to play with. And I can say, if you follow the process, and if you do what I tell you to do, and always question what I tell you to do so you can understand what you do and take ownership of what you do, then over time you will become a world champion. And they're a white belt. None of them at that time, believe me, because they're white belt. But they don't see what I see, because they've never been where I am. Will Rowe and I were in Florence, and we saw the great statue, the statue of David. You know the statue of David? The big statue. Young kids, Google statue of David when you get home. Right? It's the most famous statue in the world, made from Italian marble, carved out by Michelangelo. And it's massive. It's just massive. And it's David, from the biblical figure David and Goliath. And it's made from one big chunk of Italian marble, flawless Italian marble, rare to come across. And it's one big chunk, and he carved it from this massive chunk as tall as this building, and just carved it and carved it and carved it into this most amazing statue of a naked man standing there, and you just can't help but look at it. Not because he's naked, but because it's just a masterpiece of brilliance, one of the most amazing pieces of art ever. And that's what I share with my athletes. When you come to me, you're a big chunk of marble. And what we're going to do together is we're going to chisel you down until you become this amazing statue of an athlete. And at the start, you take big chunks off. Big chunks, there's big chunks of marble. And eventually, by the time you get to the end, it'll be little chunks. Because it's fine-tuning. There'll be tiny little chunks. Then it'll be sandpapering. and then there'll be polishing. And that's when you get to that finished product, which is never finished, because you're always polishing. If they left David alone and stopped polishing David, what would happen to David? It would get dirty. If you stop polishing your car and just let it sit there, what would happen to your car? It would rust and get dirty. Before you notice, look at the dirty old rusty car. Before we came here, I went to the petrol station and filled up my car, so we had to come here, right? That's fuel, good fuel. I've got a high performance car. Why do I have a high performance car? Because I'm a high performance person. There's a clue there. If I'm a high performance person, I have a high performance car. Not a shitty rush bucket car.
Kman.
Because that's not reflective of who I am or who I want to be. So if you want to be great, you have to make everything in your life great. If you want to be an organised athlete and you go to your home and see a messy room, I'd start to say, wow. If you couldn't be bothered putting the clothes off the floor into the drawer, what else couldn't you be bothered doing? Those extra push-ups. Parents, you can thank me later. Because what's most important in a champion is the development of a champion attitude. And a champion attitude, you do what it takes to become a champion. Even if it's an inconvenience, even if it's a pain in the bottom, they do it. They do what they have to do, even if they don't feel like doing it. They chisel. They polish. And I was at the service station this morning. There's a guy pulled up beside me, putting petrol, and he had this old Corvette, one of the classic old sports cars. Whoa, but it was shiny. It was sparkling like brand new, and it must have been a 1960. So it's over 50 years of age. And I went, man, check out that car. He goes, man, check out your car. We're checking each other's cars. But his car's older than mine, you know. I thought, oh, I think his car's shinier than mine. Because I want my car to be as shiny as that when my car gets to that age. I want to be a shiny 50-year-old, 60-year-old, 70-year-old. See, when you're 20, you're naturally shiny, right? But if you let it go, before you know it, you become a rusted old person. People let themselves go, right? As they do with their cars. That's why they keep replacing them. I always admire people who have beautiful old vintage cars because that took a lot of discipline. I always admire when I come up against an athlete who's more mature and they're still fighting. Or anything. I admire someone who's 60 years of age in great shape and 20 years in great shape. Because, you know, you're supposed to be in great shape at 20. You're born that way. 6-year-old. But if you apply the same principles as you're 20 to 30 to 40 to 50 to 60, your whole life will be great. So before you start any journey, you have to know where you're going. Before you start carving the Italian marble, you have to know what the end is. What is the perfect you? What is the perfect performance? But you have to sometimes be smart and wise about it. On the way down, I saw this, and I was driving, I said, "Babe, check out all the cows. All these cows." These cows everywhere. These cows just stood out because they're on the hill. And on top of it, I said, "Check out the bull. Look at the size of the bull. There's a big bull lying down." And down the bottom of the hill was all the cows. And it sort of reminded me of the old story about the old wise bull, right? And the eager young bull on top of the hill. And on top of the hill, an eager young bull jumping up and down. He says, hey, old bull, check all those cows down there. Check them all out. And he's jumping around, getting excited. And yeah. He goes, "Let's race down there and get us a cow." And the old bull goes, yeah, settle down. He said, "Come on, let's race down there and grab us a cow." And the old bull says, "I've got a better idea. Why don't we just casually walk down and get the bull?" I'm the old bull. When I was 20, 15, 10 years of age, I was competing martial arts when I was 10. I was a national champion when I was 30. I was the young bull, running around, want to win. want to compete, want to train. But a lot of the energy I had then was misdirected, misguided, and many times wasted. But with experience, you start to learn, hey, let's channel that energy where it's effective, produces results. That's going to lead you to the path, not off the path. So there's many things you can do in training, but you want to make sure that everything you do in training is taking you to where you want to be, to finish the masterpiece of an athlete you want to become, or to win the gold medal that you want to win. You have to be smart about it, because if you drive wildly, you will crash. If I start getting the sledgehammer on the marble, I'll destroy the statue. Sometimes as you get closer, you've got to be more careful. Don't just go smashing away, running in the gym, going to just lift weights and throw them around everywhere. You just hurt yourself and you destroy the end product. That's something which I was always on a quest when I was young. I always wanted to learn about what I want to achieve, but more importantly, who I wanted to become to deserve that achievement. Life is just about increasing your chances of success. I always think, for example, did I do enough to deserve to win? I remember I was training a guy called Sean, who's also a world champion. And we're doing this drill, and he wanted to give up. And we were about to go and fight in the World Championships. At that time, the Argentinians they're some tough boys. You grew up in the streets of Argentina, going on to the fight mat is like a holiday. Because they fight on the street. And when Sean, he wanted to quit or stop, I said, I wonder what the Argentinians are doing right now. You think they're stopping? And that lifted him up and he started pushing again. You end up winning. So you have to make sure you have to do everything you can to put yourself in the best position and shape you can be in to deserve what you get. And that's what today's about. I'm going to share some ideas that help maybe guide you from an old ball to, I won't call you balls. So first, number one, you have to think of what do you want to achieve. This year you've got some goals which are pretty short. I know you're competing soon, so lots of things can't be done because you're already close enough to it. Now it's just a mind game. At the beginning of the year, you say, okay, what do I want to achieve this year? What do I want to win or be in the best position to win? Because if you don't know what you're aiming for, you'll miss everything. National championships, world championships, international championships. This year I've got 4 world championships. One in karate, one in taekwondo, or a couple in taekwondo, and a global championship. One's in 8 weeks, one's in June, two's in October. So I already know my journey, and I already know what I have to do to put myself in that position. I've got 8 weeks to put myself in that position. So I want you to think, what do you want to achieve this year? But more importantly, who do you have to become to deserve the win? Who do you have to become to deserve the win? Because all champions have a certain character that are common amongst champions. You know, when people want to quit, that's when champions want to start. When people get tired, that's when losers stop and champions start. When you don't want to do any more push-ups, every push-up after that time is the push-up that counts. Everything up to that didn't count. When your heart and your lungs are coming out your mouth and you're in excruciating pain and every cell of your body saying stop, it's every action you take after that that will determine your destiny. Because most people will train up to a threshold and stop. Champions go past that threshold and that's why they're champions, because they'll do what no one else does. Because that's who they are. If you don't feel like training, that's the trigger why you should train. And it's good to get some key words in your mindset when you say, I don't feel like training. Just ask yourself this, what would a world champion do? Oh, I don't want to do another one. What would the world champion do? What would the Argentinian do? If you're motivated by pleasure, you say that. That's what I say. Sometimes it's late at night, I haven't trained that day, and I go into my garage, I have certain drills I go through. I've had a massive day, I've been up early, had a huge day, it's like 11 o'clock at night, I haven't trained. And I can come up with every reason not to train. Oh, I'm too tired, didn't get enough sleep, I trained double hard tomorrow, I haven't eaten enough, yada, yada, yada. Out will come all, and everybody goes through it. Everyone goes through the same thinking process. Champions and people aren't champions. It's the same thought patterns. The only difference is the people who don't become champion don't do it. The person who does become champion goes, yep, okay, now I've got that off my mind, let's go and do it. Because if you're motivated by pleasure of winning, you'd say, what would a world champion do? And you'd do it. If you're motivated by pain, and some people are, then you say, well, what would a loser do? They would stop. I'm not a loser, I'm going to do it. That's the strength of mindset. Because the body will only follow where the mind will allow it. Sometimes you've got to put yourself under pressure. I was saying to Ash before, you were in here training, said you couldn't get the door closed and it's really hot. I'm thinking most people go, it's really hot. It's really hot to train, you know. You won't get heat exhaustion and heat stroke. And the chairman go, yeah, oh, let's do it. Because that's a test. One of the great coaches who coached McEvoy Phelps, who's won more Olympic gold medals than any athlete in the history of time. He holds the most medals, gold medals, most of them gold. He won 8 in one Olympics. He set the goal to win 8 Olympic gold medals to beat Mark Spitzer's world championship, or a world record of 7 gold medals. 8 Olympic gold medals in one Olympics. That is, he entered 8 events. He had to win every single one in all the strokes and all the distances. Some people think it's hard doing one. He does more. That is a workload, right? That's a big goal. That's big pressure. Oh, that's Michelangelo stuff and David, right? Whew, give me the biggest chunk of marble and I'll turn it into a masterpiece. Most people say, oh no. But his coach said to him, this is my job. My job is to put you in a position to be in the medals. But once you're in the position of the medals, it's up to you to take the medal. There's only a certain amount that a coach can do. I say to my fighters, I'll put you in the position to be in that group of the medals. But who wins the medal is what you bring to the floor on the day. Do you bring your mind to the game? Because when you're on there, there's going to be times where you're going to be pressured and someone's going to be punching you and kicking you and you want to give up. Does that hit stop you or get you going? Does that bloody nose go, oh, or you go, yeah? That's the coach's job. They do the job, they'll get you in that. After that, it's up to you. But in that process, it's important that you see stress or things that don't go right, or pressure, or heat, a hot day, as an opportunity to test your character. Because there's only one way to test who you are. It's not when things are good, right? It's who you are when things are not good. I went and grabbed some pig food from my, I've got pigs, alpacas, donkeys, so I get some food. I was there early this morning picking up some food, and it's like 30 degrees, whatever, and I walked in and the lady goes, it's so hot. I said, isn't that awesome? So it's just so hot. I said, well, you know what, one thing I do know, it's not going to change, so you might as well enjoy it. So you can whinge about the heat, or you can enjoy the heat. Because if you whinge about the heat, you'll be the same person who's always cold. It's really cold winter. It does. It's New Zealand. It's too cold to train. It's too hot to train, too wet to train, too tired to train. There's always going to be those. But those two means you should be going. But one of the things he used to do with Michael Phelps is he used to surprise him with different training techniques. He would wake him up at 1 o'clock in the morning. So we go down the pool. 1 o'clock, well, I'm sleeping, coach, I'm tired. No, we're going to the pool. We get in the pool, turn the lights off, and you swim blind. Dark, can't see anything. So why are we doing this? Why are we doing this? And the whole idea was to put so many lateral, out of the ballpark pressures and stresses on him that when he got to the Olympics, where the pressure and the stress is massive, he's conditioned for anything. Nothing will fluster him. He had to win every event he was in. And it so happens, you read the books, it's an amazing book. So if you want to be great, guess what? You read books written by great people. And in one of these, I think it was the 100, he dived off the blocks. In the final, he hit the water. His goggles failed, his goggles filled up with water, and he couldn't see anything. In the final. You can't see where you're going when you're swimming in the Olympic final. Instantly his mind said, what's the solution here? What most people would do? Oh no, I lost the last medal. I can't see, I'm going to lose. No, because he's so used to being smashed and smashed and smashed. Training when you're tired, training when you have no sleep, training under the night, training early in the morning. Doing stuff that puts him under pressure. And then he remembers how many strokes he executes in one lap. So he couldn't see anything, he just counted. Couldn't see where the ball is. It's coming out, 3 to go, 2 to go, 1 to go, turn. Bang, straight away. Calm, boom. Couldn't see. You got to lunge from the thing. But remember, these races are close. You only win by 100th of a second. It's not like he's this far ahead in 100 metres. Last stroke and glide. Boom, gold medal. He's so lucky. He's so lucky. Lucky duck. Just a natural talent. Just a natural talent. Not. When you know behind the work that goes behind it. Not just doing the swimming, but all the peripheral stuff you have to do and expose yourself to. I said to Ash, training in the heat. Straight away, I remember 2014. I used to train, that year I used to train in this little garage. No air conditioning, hot, stinking hot. The sun hits in the afternoon, and my students come in and go, oh, it's really hot. I love training in the heat. I don't like training in perfect conditions. I like to train in imperfect conditions, where it's comfortable before you even start. 2014 World Championships in Italy, in Rome. We drive out in the bus, 1,000 fighters. We're in the Olympic Stadium, enclosed stadium. Walk in, it's like walking into a sauna.
Absolutely.
Say, coach, this is the Australian coach, what's going on with the heat? He said, oh, well, unfortunately they can't turn the air conditioning on because a virus has got into the air conditioning. If they turn the air conditioning on, then everyone's going to get sick. So for 2 days of fighting in a sauna. And go, how good is that? So I've been training in the sauna for the last 6 months. This is my little garage. On the real hot days when everyone's whinging, I'm going, yeah. Because this has got to toughen me. And it so happens that it presented itself in that perfect condition. Hot conditions. People were fainting and falling over, and I'm going, yeah. I'm like an Australian lizard in the desert. Because I thickened the skin. So, number 1, you want to know where you're going. Number 2, you want to know who you want to become. Just write down your top 3 goals for this year. Write down what are your top 3 goals. What would you like to achieve? So just go. How often do you be doing this? Every day. You're thinking about it constantly. Top 3. Because the training's the easy part. Putting the formula together is the more difficult part. Young Bull's got the genetics, he just hasn't got the plan. The old Bull's lost the genetics, but he's got the plan. Geez, if only I knew what I knew now when I was 20. But I'm actually fighting against people who are 20, 30 years younger than me. I have to be smarter. On the straight, they're faster than me, but in the corners, I can take them. Because corners is not dependent upon speed, it's dependent upon smartness. The more they jump around in front of me in the fight, I go, good, wear yourself out. I'll wait for you to land and I'll hit you. But I'm not going to chase you. I'll wait for you. I was training one of my guys marching, right? We were in the national championships. Yeah, he's fairly inexperienced, but he had a lot of passion. And in the first round, he fought this guy who just kept charging him. Like, big guy. And Marshall did this. He'd be on the back pedal, and the guy would hit him. And he never had someone so aggressive before. It's like the bull running out at you. If you train like a matador, you like that, right? I see him there, what do I do? It's easy. This is what I want you to do. What I want you to do, as soon as you go out there, I want to give him a target. Give him your head to punch. Right? Don't move. Right? Go out there, don't move, don't duck, don't do anything. Just stand there and do this. Right? Versus saying, here I am. And he'll just make him charge you. As soon as he charges, as soon as he's so close that you feel this, you can smell his breath on you, take your left foot, step out to the side, take your right hand, and just go bang, straight in that line. I've done it in the training before. But you can't chase him. Let him chase you. Let him run into your spear. Ran out there, guy gets in, Marshall kicked him, flustered him, because every time he got hit, he went wild. And he charged, Marshall stepped out the side, he came charging, and he went bang! Down him. Oh, that was easy. Thanks, coach. He won the fight. See, he didn't have the energy of the other guy, but he had the smarts. Sometimes you have to be smart. Next question, write down who do you have to become to achieve that? Who do you have to become to achieve that? What type of person do you have to be to achieve that? That's the most important question.
Yep.
It's the character of the person that will determine the actions that you take. How smart you are is not determined by what you know. It's determined by what you do. No use being smart if you're not doing anything. That's dumb, really, isn't it? A lot of people do far less than what they know. But what is your character? Michael Jordan, one of the greatest basketballers of all time. And I read all this stuff because I learn from everyone. And so should you, if that's what you want to do. He says, I make training like hell. Like the game, so the game is like heaven. The harder the training, the easier the win.
Yeah.
Who do you have to become? What are some character traits? I'm disciplined. I'm action orientated. I don't make excuses. I train to the end. First to arrive and last to leave. All those things. So that's all about you. Now the next step is you have to make sure you get a great coach. A great environment. Go where the pressure's high, go where the expectation is high. You already have that naturally. She's passionate, she cares more about your performance than you do. I care for my athletes' performance more than they do. I believe in them more than they believe in them. That's the people you want to be hanging out with. People who have more belief in you than you do. Sometimes you won't win, you need to believe in their belief in you until you can build your own belief in you. That's what great coaches do. So seek great coaches, great team players. I was at judo training last night because I do judo as well. And it was the last round. We did about a half hour of constant fighting. And I was exhausted. If you've ever done judo, it's like full body arm wrestling. And I said, okay, who am I going to fight? There's a whole group of this. There's this big shape over there. And there's bathers. It's 140 kilo, massive giant. That's where I'm going. So I had the other option to train with David, who's a little fella. So I thought, tied, easy choice would be who?
David.
David. Better choice? Pressure choice? Thanks. 140 kilo. His legs bigger than and I went home, the first thing I said to Rose, I said, how's training? She said, I felt like I've been trying to flip gum trees. Amazing. And he was good to me. At one stage, he could have thrown me out the window. But he stopped. Thank you. The war was me would throw. The point being, life is all about choices. And there's two choices you always have to make. There's only two options in life. In training, in life and all. You do the easy thing, or you do the right thing.
The right thing.
You know the answers. You don't need someone to tell you. Just be good at asking yourself the question. What's the easy thing to do? And what's the right thing to do? And it's not just limited to training. It's encapsulating your character. Whether it be making your bed or not making your bed. What's the easy thing to do? Not make your bed. What's the right thing to do?
Make your bed.
Make your bed. That is strength training, by the way, of the mind. That will build character. That will serve you well, not just in your sport, but in your life. Easy thing to do? I won't do those extra push-ups. Right thing to do the push-ups. Easy thing to do? Be grumpy. Right thing to do? Change your attitude. Easy thing to do? Whine about the weather. Oh, that's hot. Right thing to do? Hey, let's enjoy the heat. Nice here. Enjoy the sunshine. Easy thing to do? Don't apologise. Right thing to do? Apologise. Eat humble pie and say you're wrong if you were wrong, right? That's the training of the mind. Easy thing, right thing. Easy thing, right thing. Great coach. When I first got back into martial arts, I had a big break in there. I said, okay, first thing I need to do, if I want to win these world titles, I need to find the best coaches. I got 3 coaches. I travel halfway over the other side of the city. It takes a lot of time, and I pay a lot of money. But 19 world titles later. It's like, how much? How far away? You mean I have to travel all over there? Success is an inconvenience. People looking for the easy thing to do will find the cheapest coach, or the coach closer to them, rather than seeking the best coach, or the best team to train with. And that means you may have to travel. It will cost you time, will cost you money, cost you effort. But all the pains of the cost and the time and the effort will go away. But the feeling of success will stay with you forever. As Muhammad Ali, the greatest boxer of all time, says, you know, the pain of training will go, but the feeling of glory of winning will stay with you forever. I put a little photo up on my martial art page of when I won the Australian Kickboxing Championship about 35 years ago. Got a photo of me hitting this guy, kicking and hitting him. I thought, I remember that fight. It's a tough fight. First round, he beat the crap out of me. Regathered myself in the second round, composed myself, and got back into it. Tough fight. Lots of blood and sores and bruises and ribs. But now I look at that, you know, I say, hey, how cool is that? The pain's gone, right? The glory stays forever. Once you win the gold medal, you have that forever. Once you do your best performance, you have that memory forever. So seek a great coach and a great team with a precious heart. Seek the hardest person to train with, not the easiest. Go the better path, not the easy path. Then you have to design a plan in conjunction with the coach. And you have to be involved in it. Don't be a sheep where you just follow. Be part of it. Understand it. Teach yourself. That's why when I in my journey, I'm an athlete, but I train athletes. So I learn myself for me and them. So we all win. Design a plan. A training plan. Now, I'm not going to go into the technical aspects of sports aerobics or basketball, whatever you play, because that's, you know probably that more than me. But let's have a look at getting you in condition to be your best for that sport. So first thing you have to do is to say, okay, what type of condition do I have to be? What are the physical attributes I have to have to be that young bull or old bull, or be that masterpiece of a David of a statue, or be that world champion? What are the physical qualities that I need to have to win the championship. And flexibility and speed and condition and strength and power and mindset and strength. So visualize the perfect you. I want you to think of the perfect you on the stage doing what you're doing. I do this all the time. I'm always visualizing the perfect fight. I'm always visualizing the perfect performance. Every night before I go to bed, what pushes me to sleep is visualizing the perfect performance. Mentally. I visualize. If I can't sleep at night, easy, fantastic. That's training time. I just lay there in the night and I go through all my movements. It becomes crystal clear the person I want to become. And that becomes crystal clear what I have to do to achieve that. And then you ask yourself this, what do I have to keep doing? What do I have to start doing? And what do I have to stop doing? They're the three things you have to think about. Only you can decide this, because you know you better than anybody. What do you have to write it down? What are you going to stop doing? What are you going to start doing? And what are you going to keep doing? I'm going to give you some ideas that you can take on board. What are you going to stop doing? Maybe your attitude, maybe your training, might be your eating. You're going to stop doing this, I'm going to stop doing that. There's a lot of things. That's many times the best way to start. What am I going to stop doing? So what I'm going to do to become successful? How about we start with what are you going to stop doing? Because those actions are probably the easy things, not the better things, which are the hard things that give you the better results. Do I need increased flexibility? Is it speed, strength, power, vertical jump performance? Flexibility, nutrition. So let's have a look at the 3 S's. I call them the 3 S's. They're very simple. They can be subdivided in many aspects underneath that. The first one I use is stamina, which is your cardiovascular fitness. Your fitness. Now, is your training conducive to the performance? I was at a workshop with one of my students, and he's a professional boxer. And he's loving the program because he's been exposed to all the things that he's doing that he wants to now stop doing, that he's always done because that's what everyone else does. So if I throw it out there, what does, and you probably watched a few boxing movies or Rockies or whatever, what's the first thing a boxer does first thing in the morning when they're training for a fight?
Skipping a run.
Yeah, they go for a run. First they go for maybe a 5k run. And all boxers do it. And they skip. And I used to do it when I was a professional kickboxer. I was an international professional kickboxer. But ask this question. Why am I doing this? And if the answer is because everyone else is doing, wrong answer. For her the sheep go over the cliff, don't join them. Don't be a sheeple. Why am I doing this? What has this got to do with that perfect performance that you visualised? So we've got sports aerobics in there, right? So is there any part in that, how long is it? 2 minutes? 1 minute? 1.5 minutes? Is there any part on the stage are you doing this?
No.
Then why would you go running? If I want to be a champion runner, I don't swim. What? It's called specificity of training. I call it just common sense. So when I spoke to a man who's a professional fighter, he goes, yeah. So if you look at this has got nothing to do with boxing. When I run, I land on the heel and I roll onto the toe. I don't know, but when I see you the other week out there, none of you had that dynamic in your feet. I just saw everyone on the balls of the feet, right? When you're boxing, guess what you're on? So it's all the opposite. Your conditioning is the opposite. You want to go north, you're training south. The performance is fast and furious, and you're training slow. So yeah, a lot of people like to go, I'm going to go running to get fit. Fit for what is the question? And do you get fit running this slow? No. All you're doing is doing a lot of jogging. And every time you hit the ground, that stress is going through the joints.
Yeah.
But the muscles aren't being activated to a high degree because you're not running fast. So it's a good joint wearing out exercise. So when you look at your sport and you look at your training, can you justify the link from your training directly to your sport? From a cardiovascular point of view, I've seen you after a performance. How are you going? For example, when I compete in judo, I compete judo, taekwondo, kickboxing. The judo ran 3 minutes, and after every round, last night, after the round, this is how everyone in the room is. Especially just spent 3 minutes wrestling a 140 kilogram gum tree, holding on for dear life and he wants to throw it out the window. So we had 1.5 minute rest, and then I had to recover and go to the next one. So your training, your cardiovascular training has to reflect what you're going to feel on the stage or in the ring or on the mat. So your cardiovascular training, if you're going to do cardiovascular training, it's not going to be this. Would that make sense? Would that be conducive? Or maybe doing some real high intensity sprints might be a bit better for you, where you're actually on your toes. That would be a bit more specific. And it trains from a physiological point of view. It's going to train all the physiological pathways that are directly related to what you experience on the floor. So from a cardiovascular point of view, just be aware and thoughtful of how do I feel after my event, and am I replicating that in my training? And not am I replicating, I'm making it harder in my training. I'm making it harder and harder in my training, so it gets easier and easier on the floor. The harder the training, the easier the win. The harder the training, the easier the win. And always be aware, you'll go through physically a lot of mental pain, where you want to give up. But as soon as you finish training, that goes, right? It's gone, it's only temporary. But the feeling of satisfaction of putting your blood and guts and effort and sweat into it lasts a long time. And the winning of the medal or the championship, that lasts forever. If you train hard enough and you compete long enough, you will win enough. Everyone knows if you lose, you know why you lose. You may have shortcutted somewhere. So cardiovascular training, make sure it's reflective and representative of what you physiologically and physically and mentally experience on the mat. Strength is the next S. So stamina, strength. Strength is vital. If you got fitter, would that improve your performance? Yes? No? Yep. So would you getting less fit or more fit? What would be better? More fit. Can you be too fit? No. Can you be too strong? No. So getting you stronger, would that make you a better athlete?
Yes.
So now you want to be able to build your muscles and build your bones so they can withstand the pressures of the event. The biggest benefit of strength training is not necessarily it improves your performance. It does, from a research point of view. But the biggest benefit from strength training is it stops you from getting injured.
Yeah.
If you're injured, can you perform?
No.
If you're injured, can you win? So you have to make sure that your engine recovers and it's fixed by the body mechanics that are inside your body. But you have to activate your body mechanics, the little cells that regenerate. And that's best served by doing strength training for all age groups. You want to check your pulse. Got a pulse?
Yeah.
You're not sure? If you've got a pulse, then you're a living organism, right? If you're a living organism, it means you're completely, consistently in an adaptation phase. But this is the question. What is your body adapting to? What is your body adapting to?
Great question.
The body will adapt to what you present it. I got back, I had a little bit of time off my normal spar training, this is my kickboxing training, and I hadn't trained for, I always trained, but I haven't gone to squad training. We call it squad training. It's about 15 fighters, we all train together and we fight together. And it's been about 2 months since I've been there, and I went back for the first time last Sunday. And it was a very intense session, lots of movement. I now have on the balls of my feet massive blood blisters. Right? Massive blood blisters.
Very big ones.
Bubbled up. And I was training, and I felt halfway through the session, my bottom of my feet were just bubbling up. And there's many times I could have said, well, I better look after the balls of my feet. I'm going to stop training and go over the side here and make sure. But no, I didn't give up. I said, this is an opportunity to push through the pain, even though the balls of my feet feel like I was standing on a hot plate. And I kept pushing through. But why do they bubble up? Because the mats that we spar on have this fine edge to it. And normally it's not a challenge because my soles of my feet have adapted to it, like a callus. But in those 8 weeks, my balls of my feet had gotten soft. So it's like a sandpaper on your foot. For 1.5 hours, what's going to happen to your skin? See, I was born and brought up in New Guinea. And New Guinea doesn't have roads, it's sort of a third world country, and we didn't have shoes. So everywhere I went was barefoot through the rocks and the terraces. So the soles of my feet were like leather. So I just walk on rocks, and when I came to Australia, I started wearing shoes. And my balls of my feet turned to marshmallow because the body adapted. If I rub the skin, what will eventually happen over time? It will thicken up. The body will adapt. I'll go in the sun a bit, get the sun, go out, go to the sun, go out, in and out, I'll eventually get a tan. Not that I tan very well, being an Irish descent, right? But you expose yourself to pressure, then you recover. Expose yourself to pressure, then recover. If you put too much pressure on for too long, you get sunburnt and you bubble up. Your feet bubble up. So strength training is applying a pressure onto your body that will make your body stronger. Does it make it stronger when you're lifting the weight or after the weight? Does the callus form during I'm rubbing it or after I'm rubbing it? After. So the intervention or the strength training is a stimulant. The more quality of the stimulant, the greater the effect. So when you do strength training, many times we have to use external load because how much do you know how much your weight is? How much do you weigh? Don't know? No? I'm not going to say anything. How much you weigh? That's all right. Yeah, so what's it saying? Within maybe a small variance. So the load that you lift is the same. So you do push-ups, the load's the same. So if you can't do push-ups, do push-ups. That's good. But once you get good at push-ups, that load is no longer effective because you're used to the load. You need to give more load to make the body stronger. And means you have to use external weights. So if I grab a dumbbell and I say little light weights, is that going to have an effect? Little light dumbbells. It's going to be better than nothing. Right? But what would make me stronger? Keeping the weight or increasing the weight? Increasing the weight. And how much effort should I put into the exercise? As much as I can or as little as I can? As much as I can. When should I stop? When I can't do any more or before I can't do any more? Exactly. So when you do an exercise, you grab a weight, you pick an exercise, and you do as many as you can. How many push-ups should you do? All of them. Ask me, how many push-ups?
How many push-ups
Do I do? I do all of them. All of them. Infinity 2 times. So if you're going to go and do push-ups, you just keep going until you can't do any more. And when you can't do any more, what do you do then? Do another one. That's it. You do another one. Because the weak will stop, the strong will go. Now, when strength training, if you do lots of repetitions, would that build endurance or strength? Endurance. If I jog slowly for a long period of time, or sprint, which would be better for speed and power? Which would maybe be better for endurance? The long run. You want to build strength? How long is your event? 1.5 minutes. You need strength and power, not long endurance. So when I lift a weight, I want to be lifting a weight that's going to make me tired really quickly. So how many repetitions would that be? Say anywhere between, say, 10 to 30 seconds. How many repetitions could you do in 10 to 30 seconds? Say 1 every 2 seconds. That's somewhere between 5 and 15. So 5 and 15 repetitions. And you want to pick a weight that in that 5 to 10, 15 seconds you're going to fatigue. If you can do more than, say, 10 repetitions, what should you do? Put the weight up. Now, I know some people say, yeah, but children shouldn't do strength training. You've heard that before? How much force goes through your body when you jump in the air, do an air jack and land on the ground? How much force do you think? When you land, your full body, whether it be 40, 50, 60 kilos, you go in the air and you hit the ground. How much force is going through your body?
Enormous.
Massive. How much force is going through my body when I'm doing this with a weight? Not massive. You put more stress through your body climbing trees, falling off your bike and doing your sport than you ever would in a controlled environment doing a strength training program. Use common sense. How much force goes through your body when you jump in the air and you're doing a push-up on the ground? One of the champions in sports aerobics I used to train, Rob Delabona, he used to jump in the air, do air jack, land, do the push-up, push up, spin in the air, and drop back down to a push-up.
Wow.
Another athlete used to train, Oliver his name was, no Oliver, he used to go from here, jump, hit the ground, push up, push himself back up to standing position. Go, look at that. How much stress is going through that?
Enormous.
So what you experience on here is far more stressful than what you'd experience in a strength training program. But what a strength training program will do will build strength in your joints, your ligaments, your tendons, and your bones. So you go and do these explosive activities, you're not going to hurt yourself. You have to get strong to perform. Now, there has been some, in the old days, if in doubt, leave it out. Because we didn't know, we said don't do it. But now we know. The American College of Sports Medicine, the American Academy of Pediatrics, the National Strength and Conditioning Association, every leading sports medicine association in the world, they don't only say it's recommended for kids to do strength training, athletes, that it is essential. So you don't get into yourself and you perform to a greater level. So doing supplementary strength training is great. How much should you do? Should you do it every day? No. Because when does the body recover? During training or after training? So the greater the... If I go in the sun and I get a big burst of sun, and I come out and I'm pretty burnt, should I go out the next day?
No.
And I said, oh, I'm really in a hurry to get a tan. I'm going to go out there all day, in the hottest in the middle of the day, at 35-degree heat. What's going to happen to myself? So too much exposure will lead to an adverse effect. If I'm always rubbing the skin but never letting the skin recover, I'll wear the skin down to the bone, not build a callus to protect the bone. So strength training is exactly that. You want to stimulate the body. The harder you train, the more rest you need.
Yep.
Does that make sense? The harder you train means the more physiological stress that the body has to adapt to and rebuild, make you stronger, make you fitter, and make you more powerful. So the more effort you put in, the more rest you need. Now from a physiological point of view, strength training ideally is anywhere between 1 to 2 sessions a week if you're doing the whole body. And that's going to give you plenty of recovery. I've trained Olympic athletes who were so strong, they lift such heavy weight, they'd only train once a week. And sometimes once only 1.5 weeks. Because there's so much intensity in their sport, I had to find the right place to put the strength training so they could recover. Because they had all this other stuff they had to do for their sport. So quality is, what's more important, quality or quantity? Quality. Particularly in a short sport like yours, it's only 1.5 minutes. It's all quality. It's not who can do sports aerobics for the longest. You know, if you're in the sports aerobics marathon, then you may want to do longer. But this is just 1.5 seconds. I'm the same. In the World Championships, I do 2 2-minute rounds of fighting. I got 2 minutes. I have 1 minute rest and 2 minutes. And that's it. So it is just fast and furious. So all my training is fast and furious. I do nothing long. I do everything short, hard and fast. You know what saves me a lot of time? You know that 5 to 10k plonk jog every morning that most people do? What's the time? If anything, it's detrimental because it's actually draining your energy reserve, mind and body. You want to turn your mind and your body on for a short period of time, do it quality, then go home and recover. Eat some good food, good fuel, rest, get ready for your next one. Long is not better. Short is better, but better quality. Strength training, same thing. 2 sessions a week. Leading into competition, 1 session a week. 1 week out of competition, no. Because it takes your body around about 7 days to fully recover. In that last week, nothing's going to change. You just let the body rest and get the mind turned on. All intensive training normally stops about 1 to 2 weeks out from competition. Strength training. What should you do? There's 3 basic movements that the body does. Everyone stand up. Everyone sit down. Everyone stand up. What a great opportunity. Quick question, what's easier, to sit down or stand up? Sit down. Standing up is a bit of an inconvenience, like you see, somebody going, what's the better thing to do, to sit or stand? Stand. So when you do a better choice, what should you do it with? Everyone sit down, let's do that again. Everyone stand up. Sit down. Everyone stand up. That's better. If it's going to be hot, you might as well enjoy it. If it's an inconvenience, you might as well enjoy it. As soon as you start conditioning someone, this is a hassle, guess what? It becomes a hassle when you stop doing it. But what's better to do? Sit or stand. Yeah. So first movement, if you want to train your legs, everyone do this. Down and up. Down and up. Okay, there's the first movement pattern. But what muscles in my legs don't I use when I do that action? Have a think about it. Ready? Go down and up. Now think, what muscles can I remove? So you say, Kman, this muscle's not working, so then I'll get my scalpel and I'll cut it off you, and then we'll see if you can still do the squat. Ready? Go down and up. Is there any muscles that you don't use?
Nope.
Okay, so if I cut your calf off, slice your Achilles tendon, will you be able to do that movement?
Nope.
No. Last week before training, I dropped the best block. Best block is one of those bricks about this big, you know, those big bricks. Dropped from a little toe. Not good. If you're not sure what it's like, try it. My little toe is just like this. It looks like I've gone down to the cemetery, dug up a corpse, cut someone's little toe off, and sewed it to my foot like a Frankenstein. That's what my little toe's like. It's only a little toe. You know how much your little toe's involved in life? If you want to know, do that to your toe. And you feel how active your toe is. You know how active my toe is on the judo mat with a 140 kilogram guy? It's amazing how much my little toe's involved. Remember my toe when I'm not feeling my toe? I don't even know about little toe. Until my toes had the vessel box stomped on it. So when I do a squat, guess where I feel it? In my little toe. It may not be the major muscle, but it's still an important muscle. Everything works together with everything. Nothing works in isolation. If I remove one part of my engine out of my car, you think the car's going to remove the spark plugs. So I had little spark plugs. They had this big 500 horsepower V12 engine, just move a couple of little spark plugs. You think that car's going?
No.
It needs the spark plugs as much as it needs the 12 cylinders or the big tyres. Everything counts. So when you train your body, you want to train everything together. And everything works together, and everything works. So when you do this exercise, you're working all the important muscles. That is a fundamental movement for that. So a good movement pattern would be, my structure, is just doing that and get strong at that. Why? Because that's a good base movement that you get strong at. And because it's controlled, you can put good weight on. And how much weight should you lift? As much as you can. How many reps should you do? As many as you can. And when you can do more than, say, 10 or 15 repetitions, what should you do to the weight? Put it up. And as you do that, you do the exercise with perfect form, under your coach's guidance. Because then you're going to get the perfect result. Everyone go down to a push-up. Go. Push-up.
Yay.
There's that. There we go.
Go, Mama.
There we go.
Come on,
And
Daddy.
now once you do
I reckon you've done a few in your time, mate.
3.
Woo! Look at these girls. They're gorgeous. Wow.
Okay, now you feel it. What muscle can I take off? None. They all work, don't they? For example, push-ups works your chest. Okay, let's cut your arm off. Let's cut your bicep off. I've took the bicep off. Are you going to be able to do a push-up?
No.
No, because what you don't realise, the bicep, everyone refers to elbow flexion, the bicep goes across the shoulder, and it's also a shoulder horizontal flexor and a shoulder flexor. So your bicep's actually working in a push-up. But you're not thinking bicep, you're thinking chest. But you won't know bicep until I cut it off. You won't know the bicep's working your push-up until you get bicep tendonitis, and you can't do a push-up because you get shoulder pain. Biggest, a lot of athletes I work got shoulder tendonitis in the long head of the bicep. Guess what they can't do now?
Push-ups.
Push-ups. People say, "What, biceps aren't involved in push-ups?" Well, now you know they are. Just because it's not... See, I don't even know what the spark plugs look like in my car until they break down. I didn't know how involved my toe was involved until I stumped off with the plastic ball. So if I want to train everything together. And keep everything, and that way everything fires in its right proportion. As soon as you start doing exercises which are not normal, like you start isolating things, like bicep curls, that's not how they work. Your bicep works like this in the full body movement. Punching. That's how it moves. I was working with one of a soccer player the other day, and I said that he's doing a movement. I said, so when you kick a soccer ball, do you do this when you come up to the ball? Do you do...
No.
Is that how you kick a soccer ball?
No.
Is that how you kick a soccer ball? How do you kick a soccer ball? With the full body. So why do you go to the gym and do an exercise like this? Because if that's the case, you have to do jumping, right? Sports rights. Okay, I'm going to design a weight training program for you for jumping. First exercise we're going to do is I get you to see your toes. Just curl your toe and back. And back. Just your toe, not your foot, just your toe. Curl and back. Curl and no, just your toe. Yeah. These are called toe curls. Like bicep curls. You may want to call them toe crunches. Like crunches, like you do for the toe. So we're getting the fat off your toe. You know people do crunches to get fat off their tongue? You think fat's going to come off her toe? She knows that? If I have a fat neck, so do some neck crunches, is fat going to come off my neck?
No.
So what do you think is going to come off your tummy when you do a crunch? There's no difference. So this is the first exercise. We're going to do 3 sets of 10. Then the next exercise, I'm going to get you to do ankle. Pain first, okay? Here we go. Actually stand up. We'll make it more specific. Just do this, right? There we go. We're going to give you 3 sets of them. So we do 3 sets of toe curls, 3 sets of ankle extensions. Then we go to your knee. Okay, what I want you to do now is just do this. Ready? Bend. And just do this. Just straighten the leg. You do 3 sets of them. 10. Right? So we've done about 20 minutes of exercise so far. And now we have to do your hip. I want you to just do this, bend, and go this. There we go. Back and forth. There we go. That's the hip extensions. That's the hip extension exercise. Okay, now we've got to do your thoracic curve. Now, your thoracic curve, you bend a little bit. So you have to hunch a little bit and straighten up. There you go. We can do three. I'm going to put weight on your back for it. Right, then when you do this for your head, right? So we're going to get a little helmet and have a weight there. then we're going to do this. Keep the arms straight. Do this. There we go. There we go. There we go. There. Okay, now do this. You got that? Good. You do 3 sets of that. Now we're going to do this with your fingers. So how many exercises we've got? We have toes, 1, ankle, 2, knee, 3, hip, 4, vertebral column, 5. We've got neck, haven't we? Neck, 6. We've got your shoulders too. Shoulders, go. Then we do this one, and this one, and that one. So we at least got 12 exercises. 3 sets, 12 exercises, 36 sets, about 15 minutes of work. 50 minutes. Or you can just do this and get it done. What would you rather do? Break it up into little bits or just do it all together? Which would make you a better jumper? Breaking into little bits or doing it all together? Thank you. So when you train the body, train it together, because that's how it
Works.
performs. So don't do any of this, because you know what you're doing with that is wearing out that joint. The biggest injury that athletes have, and everyone has with age, is tendons, cartilages, joints, ligaments. Because they're training incorrectly or living incorrectly. So this, push up, bench press, dumbbell press. I don't care which exercise. Squat or lunge. You want to do single? Lunge. And back, chin-ups, dumbbell row. 3 movement patterns, trains everything together, including the little toe. Including your fingers. But when you do that, you train it all together so it performs together. So it's not just working the muscle, but it's also activating the nervous system to fire all the muscles at the right time. When you tune your car, if you've got the car and it's gone, oh, we need to tune it. Why? Because the engine's not all firing, the cylinder's not all firing in the right timing. The best way to fire the body in the right timing is to train it with the right timing. Not to make it dysfunctional, to stuff up the timing by training different bits at different ways. What part of, crunches are not very effective? It doesn't burn fat. But these abs are working in that movement. When you do a squat, what keeps your body upright? The abs. So, big exercises, big results. 1 to 2 times a week. How many repetitions? 10 to 15. How much weight? As much as you comfortably and safely with good technique and form can lift. How many reps do you do? As many as you can. Once you go over 15, what do you do to the weight? Put the weight up. Guess what? You're getting stronger. Your joints are getting stronger. You're going to get less injuries. The jumps will feel easier. You'll feel lighter. Don't compare your weights with each other. Because everyone's different. Don't say, well, she lifts more than me, I have to push myself. But she may have slightly different mechanics, different insertion points, different biomechanics. The only measure that you have to measure is how you performed last time for you. Your biggest competitor is in the mirror. Don't try to keep up with each other. Go your own path. Because then you start to do silly things. Now, if I have a big car and there's a little car and he's trying to keep up with a big car, he'll probably blow a motor trying to keep up with it. Because it's just genetically got a big car, big engine. And do it safely and progressively. And then do that, rest well, and come in here and do what you do best. which is your sports aerobics. Now, I'm going to ask you another question to finish off the day. At the start I said, what are you going to keep doing, what are you going to stop doing, what are you going to continue to do? Let's write that down again. What are you going to start doing, what are you going to continue to do, and what are you going to stop doing? And ideally, it will be slightly different to what you wrote the first time. Because you know what? You have more information now. Seek more information. Who wants to be the best they can be? And to be the best you can be, you have to be better than who you are today. Ferrari had this great saying, we are the best because we know we can always get better. We know we can always get better. So even when you're at the top of your game, you can always get better. At the start, when you first start training, if you're a beginner to training or sport, you train this much and you improve that much. Isn't that great? When you start, you train this much and you improve that much. That's because there's so much more potential to improve because you're only using a small percentage of your potential. So when I train, I was training with JP the other day, one of my students, and he's made all these improvements, but now you're getting to that side where to improve this much, you don't have to train that much. Because it's the principle of diminishing returns. The better you get, the longer it takes to get better. We talked about 100 metre sprint to take 0.01 of a second off the world title is a massive amount of work. If you read the book by Usain Bolt, Fast and Lightning, it says, it gets harder to keep breaking those world records. It takes longer. But that's why you do what you love, and you're committed to excellence and self-improvement, and you enjoy the journey, and the results will come. Because you're doing it because that's who you are, not because you want to get. It's not about winning the gold medal. I come across a lot of younger people at these world championships, and they're all freaking out. I'm so nervous. And that's okay. So what should I think? He says, if you just focus, don't focus on the gold medal. Don't focus on winning. Because as soon as you focus on winning or the gold medal, your mind goes off the stage. It's very hard to win the trophy when you're looking at the trophy. The only thing you should focus on is giving a gold medal performance. Because in your sport, it's subjective. You have judges and it's someone else's opinion. So first thing you have to accept that you may not win because someone else may not pick you. But your goal is to be so good they have to pick you. You have to be so good they have to pick you. But that one wants to happen. But don't let it sink you if it doesn't happen. Because if you become good enough, you will win enough. Maybe not that competition. Not with that set of judges. But all you focus on is, did you produce that gold medal performance? You are the champion. I am the champion, I'm going to give a champion performance. Whether they give me the medal or not doesn't change the fact that I'm a champion. I've won many world titles. He says, you're so lucky. But you don't know how many I've lost. I have about 45 World Championship medals. Only 19 of them are gold. The rest are silver and bronze. Ask me which is my most proudest medal.
What's your most proudest medal?
A silver medal. In Canada, Ottawa, 2012. I went through a whole lineup of Argentinians. The toughest mothers you ever going to fight. I had blood tearing down. I went to the final fight and it was warfare. And it was just a absolute fight to the hell. And at the end, it was the most amazing feeling to go through, push us through that, and be proud of that sort of medal. Because my fellow comrade, Lou Jose, who's now a lifetime friend, was with me with it. And if it was not for him, I would not be able to compete. And he brought the best out of me. And he got the decision, and he deserved it. On another day, maybe I'll win it, doesn't matter. But they inspired me to be better. And we fought many times in our journeys. And it's the best feeling ever. And along the way, it's not the colour of the medal that's important. It's what's in the medal, or what's in the performance. I've had times I've collected no medals. One competition, I was taken up to the heavyweights. I was fighting guys between 120 to 140 kilos. I've got a photo of me standing there beside John and this other guy, and they're like this. They're giants. This little Kman here. I've just come off the mat fighting them. How cool is that? What a great experience. It's not about the medal. It's about the memories. It's about what you did. It's about the effort. It's about what you left on the mat. And more importantly, it's who you become that's most valuable. It's who you become. Because that will build your character to deal with anything in life. But don't make it personal. Don't make it personal. There's no winning and losing. There's only winning and learning. Thank you for coming.